Well, last week I warned of what the leftist elites who parade around the world preaching the new religion of global warming on your tax dollars are plotting for next year, the so-called Great Reset, a quasi-fascist version of the Green New Deal supported by the World Economic Forum, the International Monetary Fund, the United Nations, and disgracefully stamped with the royal seal of approval of the House of Windsor. By their own admission, the Great Reset aims to use all the tools of COVID suppression, such as lockdowns, curfews, and enforced business closures, and adapt them to the so-called crisis of climate change. Remember, this isn't me saying that we are going to switch from the COVID crisis to the climate crisis. This is them saying it again and again and again.
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we have never had before and may never have again. So we must use all the levers we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play.
What is it that would make it so that history would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset?
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call.
So don't be surprised when the same authoritarian elitists, like Dan Andrews and others, who bang on about the new normal or COVID normal to justify the most draconian and anti-democratic suppression of your civil liberties we have ever seen, where you are arrested for even voicing dissent on social media. Don't be surprised when these same petty left-wing dictators are the first to try to impose similar drastic restrictions as the only way to meet their commitments to reduce carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to net zero emissions in the name of saving the planet. Get ready for the climate crisis and the new climate normal.
And advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
At this moment, the only significant world leader who wants to halt this slide into climate totalitarianism is Donald Trump. He withdrew from the Paris Agreement, which is the first and fundamental political and legislative building block that allows parliaments to begin implementing the Great Reset, or, as they are fond of saying, to build back better. More on that deceptive slogan next week.
As of today, the United States will cease all implementation of the non-binding Paris Accord and the draconian financial and economic burdens the agreement imposes on our country. Compliance with the terms of the Paris Accord and the onerous energy restrictions that is placed on the United States could cost America as much as 2.7 million lost jobs by 2025.
And if it costs American millions of jobs, it costs us jobs, jobs, jobs. Yet here in Australia, all our major parties and leaders are committed to the Paris Agreement, and by extension to the loss of prosperity and financial security that it imposes, particularly on the elderly, the poor, and of course on future generations. Disgracefully, the Scott Morrison government continues to pander to this left-wing neo-Marxist scam. And even worse, Matthias Cormann, once one of the few reliably conservative voices in the Liberal Party, paid lip service to the new religion of climate change, in French no less, in order to shore up his highly paid gig at the OECD in Paris. Nous sommes attachés à l'accord de Paris, he said, which will come in handy as he is wined and dined at La Tour d'Argent and Paris's finest restaurants. With all the major institutions now grovelling to the new cult of climate change, we are entering very dark days indeed. Literally, You try powering a modern city with solar panels and pushing water uphill. And make no mistake, climate change is a religion, gripped by the sort of religious zealotry, self-belief, self-flagellation, rituals, and unblinking intolerance not seen in Christianity since the Dark Ages. Indeed, what the religion of climate change has in common with, for instance, the Inquisition, is that belief in the unproven theory that the climate is being altered because of man-made carbon dioxide emissions. Belief in this theory is so fundamental that it supersedes the law. In fact, it is the law, and only those who believe in this religion will be entitled to determine the law. That is the fate of the United States, and by extension, the Western world, if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win the presidential election. With over 80% of the world's energy still reliant upon fossil fuels, these religious zealots wish to plunge us all into some post-COVID dystopian nightmare of climate subservience. Here indeed is Kamala Harris, the woman who will almost certainly become president during the next 4 years if Joe Biden wins the election, quizzing Donald Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett. Watch the smug, sanctimonious self-belief and listen carefully to the sheer arrogance of this eco-talkamada. And tell me if this isn't a modern-day Salem-style inquisition.
And do you accept that COVID-19 is infectious?
I think, yes, I do accept that COVID-19 is infectious. That's something of which I feel like, we could say you take judicial notice of. It's an obvious fact, yes.
Do you accept that smoking causes cancer?
I'm not sure exactly where you're going with this, but, the notice that smoking
causes... It's just a question. The question is what it is. You can answer it if you believe yes or no.
Senator Harris, yes, every package of cigarettes warns that smoking causes cancer.
And do you believe that climate change is happening and is threatening the air we breathe and the water we drink?
Senator, again, I was wondering where you were going with that. You have asked me a series of questions that are completely uncontroversial, like whether COVID-19 is infectious, whether smoking causes cancer, and then trying to analogize that to eliciting an opinion on me that is a very contentious matter, opinion from me that is on a very contentious matter of public debate. And I will not do that. I will not express a view on a matter of public policy, especially one that is politically controversial, because that's inconsistent with the judicial role, as I have explained.
Thank you, Judge Barrett. And you've made your point clear that you believe it's a debatable point.
So there you have it. If Biden and Harris enter the White House, only those who believe in the new religion of climate change will have any place in our brave new world. To even dare debate any of the fundamentalist dogma of climate change is to brand yourself a heretic. You have been warned.